All right, would like to call to order the July 25th Town of Somerville Design Review Board meeting. Is there approval of the 2024 minutes or any comments? Someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
There a second? Here, Justin.
I wasn't here,
Then you say.
but I'll second it.
You can still second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Okay. Our first project is 143 Berkeley Circle, Suite 107, exterior dining patio, screen wall, and finishes for Brewster's Ice Cream. A quick overview of the staff report. The project are exterior modifications to existing shell for Brewster's tenant upfit. They are requesting final approval. The first meeting final approval for site and shell was granted on June 23rd, 2022. DRB final approval for exterior modifications was requested in February 22 of 24, which preliminary approval was granted. I included the previous meeting minutes for the board to read over, and then I'll hand it over to the applicant.
Hello, Kent Leslie here to present for the landlord, the owner, developer on the outdoor screen wall. So what we're doing now is what we're hoping to be able to get approval for is adding this wall that with the same brick to match the existing building. And it is backed up with concrete blocks, so it's substantial. So wall, and we're installing the aluminum canopies that are black that to match with the front of the building. And we're adding lighting features on the outside too that match the existing building that's already built. So if we could get permission to move forward with any questions, you can see the site plan that I've shown there. And the original submitted elevation, I'm showing that, and then the new elevations, what we're showing. We're having 3 of the aluminum awnings and then the outside light fixtures added. The brick veneer, the split face block, all matches the existing building. So,
Do you have drawings of what was approved by the DRB as far as the preliminary is concerned? I thought it was just low walls.
the original
No,
submitted.
not the original, not the one, the DRB meeting that was held in January, I guess. Can you go back to
Right,
the minutes?
So it looks like on the site plan, well, just looking for that, it was an L and you're changing, you're
Go
just
back
taking a
to the
portion of
narrative.
it all
right,
and making it just the rectangle.
right. The tenant who is using the space doesn't need as much space as what was originally represented on the architectural drawings.
Mhm.
So we reduced the size a bit. That's all we've done. We still want it to look very similar to what was originally shown. We're not going to change any materials. Just at this time,
You just made it smaller.
just made it smaller. And
Yeah,
I
so-
think that's kind of what we were leaning toward moving to. Any other questions?
It's just really trying to make sure we understand because the drawings were a little confusing. So you had the L and you're taking that little portion of the L off. And then the building elevations really are not changing from what was approved previously.
I think it's 10 feet shorter.
Okay, but the awnings were still there.
The
and
awnings are the same.
There's still a kind of a roof or trellis or something on the top.
Right, there potentially could be a trellis for future, but there's not one to be installed now because there's no need for it at this point.
So for the February 22nd DRB, were there full height walls proposed or just low planter walls? I seem to recall, do you have any images of what
There
was
were
submitted?
not. In that meeting, the landlord, the developer didn't want to build any of these walls and these awnings, anything. It was just a concrete patio
Okay,
with outdoor dining at that time.
so,
And you guys said, hey, we want to see something like was originally submitted. So
Okay.
that's what we've done to try to mediate a little bit here to give something back to the city that looks nice and is appropriate and then fits the tenant's needs as well.
So you've really gone back to what was originally approved. It's just you took a little section off.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
Are we going to discuss the exterior finishes that are also included in the packet? Because that's as one agenda item.
Would that be for the tenant Brewster's?
Yes.
Yes. And Michelle is here that represents Brewster's, and she can speak of what she'll be doing behind the screen wall. You know, but there will be a concrete patio with outside dining.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
so the steps that we're taking was originally there was a design, an L-shaped patio. And then that was approved, but then you came back and said, we want to eliminate that and just create a patio. And that was presented in the February DRB that we
That is
sort
right.
of approved with comments.
Yes, sir.
And then now you kind of went away from that open air planter kind of look and reinstalled or reproposing these taller walls that are more and similar to the original design, but you want to do it
Yes.
on a smaller footprint. So my understanding of all the logistics that,
That is perfect.
Okay.
You understand it perfectly. So
okay. One of the items that was important to the DRB at the February meeting was sun shading. And you're saying you're not addressing that with this proposal?
no, behind the screen wall, I believe the tenant will have some shade structure that they will install.
Just umbrellas?
And they will present. Just umbrellas is what I understand.
So I think the umbrellas were proposed in February,
yes.
but we felt that wasn't adequate enough.
Mhm.
So it seems like you're not giving us an evolution of the February approval on the preliminary concept. And you're just like starting all over again.
Well, this wall is 14 feet high. And the umbrellas will be screened. They won't even be visible except looking down below the openings. So I don't know why differences that would make. Really, the umbrellas are behind the screen wall.
It
And
wasn't the aesthetics of the umbrella, it was sun shading for the patrons of the ice cream shop.
Is that not what the umbrellas are for?
Well, I think to Peter's point is what happens if Brewster's was to move and another tenant was to go in there? Obviously the umbrellas are,
I know, then
Are
we will be
branded.
back in front of you to ask permission if they want to make revisions and do something different. Then I would love to see
Yeah.
trellis and these things, but the tenant doesn't want it, doesn't need it. They don't even want the screen wall, but that it's important to the community that we do this and do it right. And the original, I wasn't involved in the original design. And the screen wall wasn't made part of the construction contract originally. And it should have been, I suppose, submitted to you guys as conceptual only because no one knew what was going to come about.
Yeah, from our perspective,
Original.
that was part of the original approval and was
Yes.
supposed to have gotten built. So it's kind of news to us that a part of the building that was really kind of a big, it was important to the board at the time of approval, is now not going to get built. So we're trying
It's a
to
nice
recover
feature,
from,
so, yeah.
yeah, we're trying to recover from that. So the only thing I saw different, unless I misinterpreted it, was on the previously approved one, there was a trellis. But now I think you're saying there's not going to be a trellis.
No trellis at this point.
Okay.
We would like permission not to do that. And then in the future, if someone decides that they want it, then we need to come back and get permission to add it.
Does the applicant have anything
This
to?
is Brent Case. What would you like?
Hi, I speak for the developer. I think unfortunately, there's been a lot of confusion from the time that this was passed through the first DRB meeting of which you passed it to where we were today. The original architect that designed this outdoor patio kind of did this without any guidance from, any tenants or any entrepreneurs or any restaurant operators or anything that had to do with it. It was a vision that he had. And what he had designed there is really not functional for outdoor seating, right? And so we didn't from the property management perspective, we didn't receive the plans until after it was already through DRB. And at that point, we said, okay, this particular patio style of that short, what you're seeing on, I think the first picture there, where you have this short trellis kind of open building with this structure, it's not practical for outdoor seating for restaurants, right? And that's why you don't see any of this type of product anywhere in the city of Somerville, and you don't see it in most places, i.e. the Earth Fair, right? Things that you would create in order to function as an outdoor restaurant seating, it would be much more square. And that way it would be more conducive to, the typical you would see in an outdoor patio. And most outdoor patios really just have fencing, or a completely covered roof structure, right? That's just basically the building. So this was a design that was never functional in terms of a leasing perspective or from an operational perspective for a restaurant to operate and just have all those tables and chairs under this shallow L-shaped type product. So in other municipalities, many times the outdoor patio is an option and it can come back. And that's why this property was permitted without the patio, and the patio is going to be a future area. So we went ahead and we leased the property to an ice cream, and we told them that there's an outdoor patio and you can, keep it as a fenced outdoor patio with tables and chairs that is very functional for an ice cream facility. Well, as they went for their permit, right, Tim said, hey, this doesn't meet that you were supposed to build this wall. And the DRB wanted to have this look of the front of the property that showed, you've got this outdoor patio area. We have approved the DRB of this structure to the side of the actual building. And they want it to look like this. And as long as it has that look from the front, that's what the DRB wanted. So we said, okay, fine, we'll come back and we will redesign it with the facade, but we need an open area behind that facade. So from the exterior, the facade looks just like it did from the original DRB approval. But from inside of that wall, inside of that facade, now it can function properly for any outdoor restaurant use, right? And it'll give the restaurant the flexibility that if they want to create tables and umbrellas, they can do that. If they want to create other shading, if they want to create their own trellis that would be conducive to what if they're a Mexican restaurant, or if they're an Italian restaurant, or if they're an ice cream restaurant, they'll have the ability behind that facade that was approved to put in what they want. But it acts as a square that is much more functional to the exterior entrance to the restaurant. In this particular instance, they may come back and say, we prefer the sunshades, right? That's a new look that we're seeing with a lot of outdoor restaurants, seating for restaurants are these sunshades, right? And they can be different colors and do different things. And so what we attempted to do as the developer was give the DRB what they originally wanted, was look and feel from the parking lot of what this looks like. It's an L-shaped exterior of the building. And behind it, we're giving the tenant functionality and flexibility to what they want to do, depending on what the future use of that product is. So that's our attempt to come back today, is to say, listen, we're going back to what you originally approved. We're going to give the DRB the look and feel that they wanted from the street and from the parking lot. But what was originally designed is not functional. And we want to create a long-term functionality for the property owner and for future businesses to operate in there. And that's where we have the different shading that they may want is a flexibility that they can have, but at least we're dealing with a square that is connected into the exterior entrance or exit of the restaurant. Does that make more sense?
It does. So it's really a tenant upfit choice
Yes.
or decision
Yes.
based on that specific use.
But the property owner who is developing is saying, listen, I understand what you approved.
Mhm.
It should have been, we should have built it in the first place as the DRB requested.
Mhm.
But what the functionality is we want to create this facade and this look, but behind that is giving the tenant flexibility to run a patio that makes some sense for them.
And it looks like on this sketch, the exterior dining is actually bigger than what was on the original proposed. I mean, it looks like it's, I don't know, say it was 10 feet on that, it's 12 feet on this or whatever.
It's wider.
Yeah.
Not quite as long.
And she's speaking for the tenant. She's the tenant.
Understood. All right. Are there any other questions or comments?
Yeah, that do. You can go to the elevation that had a sign on it. Yep. Is the on the right of the plan there, is that a walk-up window?
Yes, sir.
And where is that located?
That would be if you're looking at the building, it would be on the left side of the building,
That's on the side
right there.
there you go.
So it's behind this dining area that you're adding?
The screen wall will extend into that building on out toward that pole, the light pole you see laying on the ground. It extends out into that area.
Again, that's an attempt when people are walking up to order their ice cream, they've got a little bit of cover, right?
Sure. All right. Any other questions from the board?
I have some architectural comments. So can we go through the elevation of what is being proposed, Rebecca? So you can see, well, I can see that I think the scale doesn't match an outdoor patio design, even though I hear that, you know, what you did is you took what was originally approved back last 2 years ago, and you thought that that was the marching orders in February.
Right.
I was here in February. I don't believe that was the marching orders, but anyhow, so I don't think the scale is correct. This almost looks like a building addition. Except the sconces don't align. I don't know if the detailing of the brick, which is very nicely done, matches.
It's supposed to. The brick is supposed to absolutely match the building.
Okay, I'm just making
I
comments.
understand.
And I did take the dimensions from the original architectural drawings.
You know,
Say
the
the height.
locations of it's hard to evaluate this addition because you attached it to the building. I think if you didn't attach it to the building, it could look like standalone. But the fact that you're attaching it to the building, you're using the same building materials, you're using some of the same building nomenclature, it's gonna look like an extension of the building. And so I don't think that all the elements match. And once this gets built, it could look odd. I mean, you have a wonderful cornice detail on the building, but on this, you have nothing.
Yeah, it's just aluminum wall cap. because
I
it's
understand
just
that,
a
but,
eight-
but again,
12
so
inch
that's
thick
why I'm
wall.
saying I'm confused as to the scale of this patio addition. It doesn't look like a patio addition. And also just a little, you know, some of the details on the if I was standing on the inside of this wall, it's not finished. I still see CMU,
It's gonna be painted. It'll be, have a nice look.
but
to
again,
it,
it's
but it'll
not,
be
I
painted.
mean, again, it doesn't match.
Becca, can
You
we see the
you did a
elevation
finish,
of the original.
the side of the building, again, is nicely detailed and finished. And then now you're gonna convince, you're gonna say that painting CMU is equivalent to the side of the building, which I don't agree with.
That's on the inside away from the, but there was never any details on the original design.
This was the original design, correct?
They didn't do
I
any
think
details.
you're
They just did
missing
an
what I'm trying to
elevation
say. I'm just saying that the quality,
Right,
because you're attaching this to the building,
and that was
I
attached.
expect
If
the
you notice.
quality of the building, which has high quality, high details, to be extended onto the structure, but it's not.
We're doing everything as was originally presented. We're not changing the details.
But again,
If you want us to add like a fascia or something.
You know,
Maybe
are you,
there's-
are you giving us a perspective from inside of the wall? Is that what your
Absolutely.
concern is?
absolutely,
Okay. And I
not,
guess
not that, not 100%, but yes,
Right,
just like the finish of the patio. We want to know what that finish is. It's just broom concrete
right.
because, we want to incorporate it or at least give you some assistance in what the public is going to experience. If this was your kitchen, I wouldn't say anything. But the public is going to experience your patio inside and out.
Mhm.
The public's going to experience all the signs, the quality of the materials, sitting inside your patio. So I'm just commenting on that.
And that's appreciative, and our faith is that our customer, whose customer is going to be there, is going to provide them an experience that would be aesthetically pleasing for the customer, right? And the design review board is looking from the outside, and what the public's going to see as they drive by and walk by it. What happens on the inside is more of a business relationship between the customer and the business. Although we all want it to be nice quality, or we're not going to have good customers. If they get a bad review because they think that it was done cheaply or inexpensively, then that's going to grossly affect their business. But we're happy to work with the tenant to make sure that we're providing them a quality dining experience. But that'll be between the landlord and the tenant to work on what happens to the customer once they come inside of the preview of the DRB, right? That's our inside area, not seen from the road. But listen, if you've got a personal preference of what you would like that to look like, as a customer and as a resident of Somerville,
There
and
you
you
go.
come in and think, I think this would look better. And, I've got a little bit of experience because I'm on the design review board, and we're happily look at that. No question about it.
And so, issues like lighting, not addressed.
Mhm.
At least I couldn't see it.
That lighting that's going to be on the inside of that wall, again, that's, it depends on what the tenant might prefer to
But-
do for their customers.
Can I ask, are you here to get the entire patio and everything approved and the tenant upfit? Or are you just trying to get this wall approved?
The wall only
The
at this
wall
point.
only. So we will
The
look at,
screen, I call it the screen wall, the patio screen wall.
so we'll interact with the tenant at another time, at
Okay.
another meeting.
I think they're on the agenda too, are they not?
Yeah,
This is one agenda item.
Right.
So they sent their own documents, but this is because there's a permit in the system now for the tenant build out that includes the exterior work. So they are seeking final DRB approval for everything that's included in the packet.
Including the tenant upfit,
The exterior parts of the tenant outfit, yes, if,
the patio material and.
yes,
all that.
yes.
All right, well,
yes.
tenant is here, so what's your name?
Hi, my name is Michelle Mazuranic. I'm the tenant and for the franchise of Brewster's with my husband Neil, who was here the last time, but he's traveling today, so I'm here on our behalf. There's a couple of slides go down. So when we came here the last time, the request from us from the Brewster side was to take a look at the coloring of it. So we adjusted the awnings from our red to black because red and black are Brewster colored awnings, which
Oh. That's okay.
oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, so we adjusted based upon the request from the previous DRB that we were at. So this is what a visual of what the black awning would look like. And those are the Brewster's logo colors from the franchise, which will be on the front and the side of the building. In addition, if you go here, thank you so much. Here we had also shown that we usually use red, as that's the main color of Brewster's, but the DRB had requested not to use red, so our other color is black. So we would maintain the same picnic table and went to black trash cans and benches that would go along the side. So that's what you see there. In addition here, this is an example of what the umbrellas would look like because they didn't want red, so we converted to black. I just want you to take note. You see the circle there, that's a representative from another franchise owner from another place, but we use their picture to give you the visual, but it would not have the city symbol there on the side as which another location had, but it would be the black that would stand on the picnic tables to help with the shade, along with the benches that would go across. So that was what was requested from us from the Brewster side, which we've complied with here.
Very good.
Yeah, any questions?
All right. Do you know what your paving material is for the patio?
So yeah, I can talk to that. So all the Brewsters that have been in the past and other, thank you, Brewsters on the patios and other franchise owners have always just had the concrete that's on the pad. We've gone along the line with all this outside franchise walk-up windows is the motto of the facility. The battery's probably dying. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so if there's an issue with the massing of the patio or the wall, is it as simple as saying narrow the columns a little bit? Can you give them something tangible that they could walk away with, make the changes, and they're done?
Is it possible, and maybe there's a question more for Peter, to have this not look like such a add-on to an existing building? I mean, like, because I see your point, Peter, the lights are lower. There's questions on whether the brick matches exactly, and because of the height, it won't. The cornice, obviously they've got aluminum flashing on there. It just looks like an afterthought add-on. That's my concern with it.
Well, the other option is they can just build what was approved. And because we approved this last time or something very, very close, they can just build what's approved and, you know, they're done.
The
But
issue with this particular design here is we were, during the construction process, there was a problem that came with a Dominion light pole.
sure.
So we can't extend it this length. We run in that, not light pole, power, a main service pole. So we can't quite cover that same distance.
I guess what I'm saying is they have an option to say, look, we're building what we did before. We have an opportunity to say, here's a couple simple fixes. If it's narrowing the columns, if it's doing this, it's raising the sconces. So if there's any tangible things, I think we need to tell them that and let's move on.
See, the wall sconce is lower even on the original submittal. I just matched the same.
Mhm.
And brick's gonna match. We'll use the same brick, same split face block is the coming up 3 feet 4 inches off the ground.
What about if you, on the interior of the column, if you wrapped those columns with brick instead of just CMU? And maybe you narrow the columns to make it look a little, because they do look a little thick. Maybe if they were just a little narrower, you wrap the brick, wrap the columns.
Back, when you go back to the proposed. I know. You can see how wide that is. I did make it smaller already, really quick. But this wall was standing out there, it's kind of stand and loads
And such, so we've had it engineered.
Sure.
But
Peter, you have any thoughts?
I need to see the other floor plan, if you don't mind. I want to see what I did with the brick. I may have already returned the brick on my drawing. Yeah, see that? That drawing that shows the brick returning? Can you tell what I'm showing?
Yeah, you're
there?
just showing it
So-
returning slightly, not
But
all the way in the back.
I don't go to the back. We were just painting the concrete block.
I think painting, I think returning the brick all the way around, so it's 360 would go a long way and it would look finished rather than kind of shell.
Right. We can do that. I think that'll be a better look too.
And make the column instead of 4'8", maybe it's what would look better? Is it 3 feet?
Mm-hmm.
Any comments or thoughts?
Those are good comments. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd say make it the same width. It says on this plan, it's 4'8" and 4'8", left and right, corner in the middle, but the rendering doesn't look like it's 4'8", 4'8". Yeah.
It looks bigger than the building.
Yeah. So if we can make the column the same width.
Or maybe they make the middle column the same width as the column on the left?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. You do that?
Absolutely.
All right. Any other comments? Now's your chance.
Final approval.
You're seeking final approval, right?
Yes.
Okay. And my understanding is the patio will be brushed concrete. This concrete patio, correct? Concrete patio. Okay. And site furnishings as submitted. Any further discussion?
We want to make a motion stating all that out.
Yeah, if someone would like to make a motion with the conditions that we discussed.
I'll make a motion that the, for approval with the furniture as provided, the concrete patio as provided, the middle column matching the same width as the far left column or the corner column, and then the brick returning all the way around 360 on the columns as well. Did I miss anything?
You mentioned patios, concrete.
Yeah, that was the second one. Not brushed, but right, concrete as submitted.
Yeah, we're good.
Can you keep the awning off of the building? Does it have to slam into the building?
By a foot or
And it
Something.
protrudes out, so it won't be touching the building in reality. It looks like it from the drawing, but
Well, can you,
it projects out
can
at
you
you.
even shorten it then?
It'll look like that. So you think of stepping it back away from the building a
Which
bit?
awning were we referring to? The one with the pickup window?
The black one. The patio, one, the Brewster one.
The one that faces the
We
sidewalk.
go back to the rendering,
The
the
one
elevation.
About the Brewster's, because it's not a walk-in restaurant, it's a window operating ice cream. That's their motto. So the awning is very good to cover and protect from the sun or if it's raining, because there's not a drive-through in this model because it doesn't allow based upon the structure. So we like the awning there because the front one would be for deliveries for Ubers.
we're just
for-
saying make it maybe a foot narrower on that right side.
Oh, you're not
It won't-
referring to
not-
the
not
overhead,
your
Yeah, we're
awning.
gonna make sure.
which awning would be?
Yeah. The one that's next to the main.
I
body
don't
of the
have a
building.
problem with, you take 16 inches off
Okay.
that awning and it just doesn't come all the way to the main building.
Yeah, so it
It,
doesn't.
it doesn't look quite right to me. I like it the way it is architecturally. Personally, if you step it away, just,
It's not gonna match the opening.
it doesn't match the opening.
Well, again, I think the proportions of this is all wrong. You know, whether it's that side, I mean, the very narrow pilaster you have on that end versus the very wide one in the middle versus the one that matches the building on the end for, you know, just screen walls. I think the proportion, and then once you narrow everything down, it's gonna look top heavy, things not aligning. So, but I think you understand my
Yes, I do.
concerns. That's all they are. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm just giving an opinion.
The building column does appear to be the narrowest of the three columns. Why don't you just make them all the same width as that building column?
We'll see if we can
Leave it up
adjust
to
that.
your discretion. How about that?
Okay, thank
There
you.
was a motion. Need a second? Is there a second for Justin's motion? All right, any further discussion that would be different from what Justin had in his motion?
I make a motion to disapprove this submittal as final.
Is there a second? Or further discussion? There can be a second and then have further discussion. Is there a second?
I'll second it. I do have questions about what direction do we give them?
So your motion was,
To disapprove this design as shown
so
as
denying,
a final design.
okay. All right, so that means they would have to come back next month. With submit.
And what needs to change? What, I mean,
The things that we discussed.
so narrow everything. So basically, instead of conditionally approve it,
Now, are we not able, and I don't mean to interrupt, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
sorry.
if I did, are we not able just to get a few guidelines and then have staff approve? Based
I was
on
about
those
to
few
say that.
guidelines? I mean, that.
Hang on. Would you be satisfied if they made the changes, submitted to staff or a committee of staff? Or committee of DRB, they make the changes, they say they get them to us next week. They are satisfied. They can proceed. If not, they have to come back to DRB.
I think that's acceptable.
Okay, so are you amending your motion to deny it, but approval with the condition that it meets staff, a subcommittee of DRB?
Yes. Do you want me to repeat that?
Yes. Well, we have to vote on the motion first,
Yeah.
the original one. No. No, hang on. So we have to close the motions on the floor. All those in favor of Peter's motion for denial, say aye. You're opposed, say no.
no.
No, everybody has at least 3 no's. All right, so now we need to make a new motion.
So I make a motion that we allow the applicant to make the revisions based upon today's comments and discussion and submit that to staff. And staff will gather up, if they feel appropriate, DRB members in order to approve it at your timing.
Okay, very good. And I understand we use brick on the interior.
Yeah, could you repeat back to us
And we're
what those
going-
requirements are gonna be so that we know what to instruct the design team?
And so far as matching the width of those columns is what I've noted.
Match if you're gonna indeed keep this addition connected to the building, match all the facade details that are appropriate, the brick details, the stone details,
That's the intent from day one.
okay?
We wouldn't do it any different.
Finish off the inside of all the pilasters with brick. Take a look at the proportion of all the brick masonry, the pilasters along with the facade, the top part.
Mhm.
Now I'm confused about take a look. I mean, I said, if you're an architect, please instruct me to, you want the awning to be reduced a foot. You want it to be, tell us exactly what you want us to draw so that we know. I mean, take a look that's a little vague for me to
Well,
understand.
I think, do you have an architect
Yeah,
available to you?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think we know where to go with that.
yeah.
Okay.
You good?
Really do.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I understand that things do not need to be tweaked a little bit, but
Right.
what we're trying to do is match what was originally submitted,
I think
and it's not quite there.
what this
So we know what to do.
safeguards is that you're gonna put it on paper,
Mhm.
you're gonna give it dimensions, you're gonna give it notes to say details match, as opposed to just being arbitrary about it. Submit it to staff, and then, staff will review it appropriately and give you comments.
So effectively, it's approved with conditions.
Thank you.
Okay. So any other comments?
Second.
There's a second. Did you have any comments? Y'all just. y'all
Right, so
walk.
what I think what she's saying is that there were two requests and we just kind of combined them. One was from the developer perspective of building this exterior wall. The other was from the tenant perspective of getting her approval so she can get her construction going on the patio. So
Right.
she's looking for approval for her Brewster's interior
All-
construction and
Lumped
patio.
all together. Yes,
Yes.
it's gonna go concurrent, really. It's
Okay,
all,
well, we're trying to help her so she
Sure.
can start her interior construction, and we don't want to hold up her interior construction while we are working on the exterior design, because it's her permit is separate from our permit. So we're hoping that she can get started on her interior permit while we follow up on the exterior permit, because they're two different permit applications from two different contractors.
I think, Becca, can you work this out with them? We have it as one item on the agenda, correct?
Yes, there has been discussion with the applicants about separating out the permits. What I requested from them were drawings that noted that only interior work was being done and nothing that affected the exterior work could move forward, and a revised contract from their general contractor with only the interior work. We haven't received, I don't think, the contract at this point, but we did offer that back in June for them to get started, but we didn't receive those documents, so. But we can move forward with that.
Okay. That's good. Get the answer you want, but staff just said they can move forward.
Thank you.
We just need that updated contract with just the interior. And then we'll release the exterior work under a separate permit.
Thank you, Ruth.
Okay, so there's any questions? All right, so I'm calling for the vote for effectively conditional approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. So our next project from HLA is for a new amenity center. They are requesting preliminary at 751 Orangeburg Road. The existing land use is vacant. This is the first meeting. Whoops. Staff comments. I included an exhibit regarding the proposed layout and trees, but I also noted those comments below. So I'll go over those if you'd like me to, once we get to that slide. But I'll go ahead and let the applicant go over the project.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Brian Huff with HLA. This is for an amenity center for the Pineland Preserve subdivision, which is on or off Orangeburg Road. The amenity center includes a parking lot for parking for the amenity center, a building with bathrooms, an equipment room for the pool, as well as a storage room. We have a pool, as well as a pool deck and a playground area off to the side. In general, we try to minimize the amount of trees that we were removing as part of the project. And otherwise, I mean, I think it's relatively straightforward, like the plan at least. So if you guys have any comments or questions, I thought the comments that we received, those are staff comments, not from you guys. That's correct. All right. So I don't know if we're allowed, we did make some changes to the plan based on the staff comments. We didn't get it done in time to break or to put up on there, but we do have hard copies if we can pass out or no.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But keep in mind, we're seeing this for the first time.
I'm sorry.
Keep in mind, we're seeing. We're
The
not
ones in
seeing
your hand?
yours.
No.
Or, yeah, this, yeah.
Yeah.
It's relatively small.
So was this submitted to staff? What you're handing out?
No, these were based on the staff comments we got.
So staff hasn't seen this.
No, and it was, I guess, more so just to
Copy.
alleviate some of those concerns, I suppose.
All right, make sure you hand one to staff now.
Okay, yeah, understood. But are you gonna go through them?
Well,
Or can you hand it to staff so she knows what we're
Oh,
looking at?
sorry.
would the board like me to go over my comments or?
Please.
Yes.
Starting at the top left, and I looked at this with our town arborist as well. There is an inlet that looks like it is just, within the canopy of these trees. And we were wondering if it could be moved out of the critical root zone of the trees. We requested that they consider changing or rotating the layout of the pool as the encroachment on the 34-inch pine down here is avoidable. The encroachment percentage shown needs to include the sidewalk, storm drain, curb, any sort of piping that's here needs to be included in that level of encroachment. We suggested that you remove this degraded water oak to allow for the playground to be moved forward. Again, as encroachment on this 33-inch live oak is avoidable. Our thought process was that if you could move the playground up with the removal of this tree, you could therefore then rotate the pool or redesign the layout to avoid the encroachment on this pine. And then there were 3 12-inch pines that did not appear to be addressed as either being removed or protected on the plan.
Does this have to go before tree board?
Yes, it does.
Has it already done that or no?
Sorry, if the encroachment is not revised, then yes, it would have to go to tree protection board because the way the ordinance is written is that if encroachment is avoidable, then it should be.
Thank you. You want to talk about how you revised the plan?
Sure. So regarding the inlet in the top left of the plan, that I didn't include on these revisions, but yeah, we can take that out of that critical root zone. We should be able to just shift it down closer to the parking. But the revised plan just doesn't have the drainage on it, shown on it. The 3 12-inch pines that haven't been addressed, those we are planning to save, and I've added protection on the second sheet that I've given you guys. The encroachment percentages down below, those have been updated on there. What we did end up doing is removing a piece of the sidewalk that goes down from the parking lot down to Bernadine Street. And that primarily was because we'd be encroaching too much on that 32-inch black gum that's there. And if we were able to remove that, taking out that piece of the sidewalk allows us to kind of keep that encroachment to a minimum without having to remove that tree. The playground area, we did shift up as the staff comments recommended and getting rid of that 27-inch white oak. That's a D tree. That allows us to remove all the encroachment from that 33-inch live oak. And regarding I think the 34-inch pine, that our thoughts were we had shifted up we didn't revise the layout, but we had shifted up the pool deck, I think 5 feet about, so that it kind of removes that short little walkway span between the pool house itself and the pool deck. And we revised the concrete sidewalk in there to be a plantation mix path instead to kind of lessen the impacts on that tree as well.
I'd recommend removing the 12-inch pine at the top. just in front of between the amenity center and Crosswick Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's not gonna be saved, so just remove it. Mitigate if you have to mitigate. All right, anything else you want to tell us on the site plan?
I don't think so, unless you guys got questions.
I assume you reduced the playground area by 15% to avoid the trees, correct?
So we mainly reduced it. We needed to allow, since if we're removing that sidewalk down from the parking lot, we wanted still people to access the pool house from that Bernadine Street. So we kind of reran that sidewalk to connect it to straight across. And that kind of required reducing the playground area a little bit.
Art, do you have any concerns on site planning?
No comments.
Peter? Any concerns on site planning?
Nope.
Any more concerns? Justin?
No, sir.
All right, can we move on to architecture? You have architecture?
The architect's not here, so I know that it will look like the Six Oaks amenity center. Or at least have the same look and materials as that one, but
Are you asking for preliminary approval or conceptual?
preliminary.
Okay. So talk about the materials on the building.
Oh, sorry.
All right, I'm Sean with Mungo. We didn't get any comments on the building, but the siding will be hardy plank, painted white. The brick along the bottom will be a brick that's stained white. The metal roof will be a black metal roof. The windows will be actually frosted, so you can't see through them, with black aluminum around that.
And that's where the mechanical is on one side and restrooms
Yeah.
on the other side.
The size of the building is dictated by code. So we've worked with town of Somerville, your building code. And so we have a certain number of restrooms or bathrooms and lavatories that we have to have, as you see, for men and women, including showers. So we have that on the right side. So we balance the building on the left side with the pool equipment room, which is what we need, and the storage room. But the windows, you'll not be able to see through. They'll be frosted. And on the back, we have, it's a covered porch, patio area. And the idea is when you drive in through the main entrance of Pineland, you can see through the building, see the pool. It's the whole idea. But those are the materials.
Becca, can we see the elevation above that? Yeah. So on the right, does that?
Yeah, the right side,
Faces the street.
yeah,
And then the left side faces the pool.
where you see the little
Of course.
people. Yeah, that's facing the pool.
Okay. And it's, you
Now
said
it
it's
changed.
similar in, I remember I was involved with Six Oaks. It was kind of a low country feel. And looks like you're trying to have a low country feel with this.
Yeah.
You said it was the same materials.
Exact same materials, same market.
Has the architecture of the building, the residential buildings already been approved? Or you,
For the residential buildings?
Right.
They don't have to get approval for those residential.
so this matches, this fits in the context of the subdivision? Is that?
Yes, it will.
Right. Any comments architecturally? Peter, do you have any comments? Justin, architecturally? Okay, you have any anything else you need us to respond to?
No,
Okay, so they're asking for preliminary approval. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Approval.
All right, we had a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
you.
You can take this back.
All right, our next project is the Central Avenue Flex, 725 Central Avenue. From Bowman Consulting Group. The site is currently undeveloped. This is the first DRB meeting. The project was reviewed by the Technical Review Committee on December 12th of 2023. I listed the comments below. The applicant has not yet applied to the Tree Protection Board for approval. It is not clear where or how the 49-inch live oak will be relocated according to the proposed plan. The existing natural buffer on the northeast end of the property is shown as to be removed. We recommended saving all existing buffers for the required buffers. A landscape plan has not been provided at this time. The applicant has provided renderings, but elevation drawings have not been submitted. A utility plan has not been submitted, and they meet the requirement for proposed parking.
Becca, I'm sorry, was this for preliminary or conceptual?
I'm sorry,
Conceptual. Okay.
conceptual.
Hey, my name is Jim Ducker. I'm with Bowman. Roger, this is John. He's here on the development side. Rogers, who was going to speak tonight from the development side and what they're looking to accomplish. His plane got canceled, so John gets to talk about what their vision is and where they're going from here. They're working on getting under contract with an architect. I think that's going to happen in the next few days or so. So we don't have an architectural perspective here at this moment.
Okay, could we, couple things, you're not engaged with an architect, but there's architectural renderings in the package?
There are some architectural renderings, yes. I think it was based on something else that has been done. That's correct.
Okay, well, all right, well, let's back up. Before we get to that, can we dive down into the site? Because I know there's some existing trees that I believe there have been a lot of comments made about need to work around the trees. So can we talk about that first as a starting point and then go from there?
Sure. I'm John Sorrentino. So there's one tree that's right in the middle of one of the buildings. We have 6 5,000 square foot buildings. You know, we were told to, because of the zoning, to keep it 5,000 or less. The upper left has a oak tree that we would like to take down. We've looked at a few different options. We looked into moving it. The company that we had, intended to, hopefully use was concerned about the health of the tree and they thought that there was, an approximate less than 10-year lifespan on the tree, and moving the tree might speed that process up a little bit. So the other tree, obviously we're trying to keep as many trees as we can, but that one tree is certainly a problem as far as the location.
So, and what's the size of the tree you're proposing to relocate?
49 inches in diameter.
Where are you going to relocate it to?
We can't relocate it. They said that it's the questionable health would kind of speed up the 10-year process of they think it's got like 10 years left, and moving it would make it less than 10 years.
So what does the arborist report say about that tree?
We have actually our arborist is here, Matt.
So did I hear that correctly? It's we remove it now or we move it and then only have 10 years with it.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Max, you're certified arborist?
Yes.
Okay. Matt, could you?
Yeah, the tree in question, the large live oak, was graded A,
It's a grade A tree.
grade A tree.
Okay. Are all the trees on the site plan that are green, grade A?
This is the first, I've seen the site plan, but I would say yes, based on the scale, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. this plan is not gonna get a lot of support from me because it does not appear to have worked around the existing trees, the existing grade A trees. I think it would probably not get a lot of support from the tree board as well. Have you been to the tree board yet?
We're applying tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow's deadline.
All right.
Is the current zoning, they're not getting rezoning, this is allowed, these proposed use is allowed in the zonings.
Has staff visited the site? How do they feel about the site plan?
The arborist was interested to understand, he has visited the site, I have not. But he agreed with Mac's evaluation of the tree that it was a grade A tree. But we really didn't have more information on, other than that it was to be relocated. So staff, it could not be approved at staff level. It has to be approved by the tree protection board.
Okay, well, thank you. You're just asking for a conceptual submittal or approval or review. So my initial response, which this has been our concern every time we've seen this project, is the site plan does not work around the existing grand trees. So I think it's hard to get past that.
The company that we spoke to as far as relocating the tree, once they said they wouldn't do that, they said, well, we could provide mature trees as a replacement, not just going to a nursery and picking up. They actually have substantial trees that they would bring on site and locate them in locations where there's no buildings.
I think there needs to be no buildings where there's existing trees. I'm just telling you, I'm not trying to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
The site plan needs to be, in my opinion, I don't know if it's shared by anybody else on back here. The site plan needs to be designed around those existing trees. Existing trees are very important, amongst other things, to the town of Somerville. So I don't think that these trees were considered.
Oh, I don't know. The other thing to consider is that we're donating a parcel of land to the town for the pump station. So,
This is all we have to look at.
Mhm.
Any other comments on site? Asking for conceptual. Do you agree, disagree?
We don't vote on conceptual.
Mm-mm. No, but do you have any thoughts or concerns?
I think once we talk about the buildings and the architecture and the
Yeah,
ambience you're creating, I have questions on what would affect the site.
Right.
So
Yeah, I'm just not sure. There's certain trees that are literally right in the middle of the property that I'm not sure how you would work around, but I'm not an architect. I'm in the envelope manufacturing business, but.
I got you. All right, understood.
Mhm.
All right.
what's your role in the project?
I am the silent partner, financial backing.
Okay.
Neighbor of the project manager.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
Are you able to articulate the atmosphere and the aesthetics?
Oh, yeah. No, it's flex space. So we're catering to local business, whether it's small retail, the guy with the Amazon store that needs a place for his inventory. It's no manufacturing at all. It's basically there's 5,000 square foot buildings that could be subdivided into, 3 different units of approximately 1,700 square feet. Each will have a bathroom, an office, and, unfinished warehouse space. And, but if you wanted to make it retail, you can make it retail. It's flex space because it's flexible as to what the tenant's needs would be.
Is the intention to have, are these garage doors?
Well, yeah, they could be. It's garage, so you can back a truck in and, pull out inventory or, depending on what the usage is.
So you're talking about storage of gasoline
No.
vehicles?
No.
This could be a garage? Is
No,
that-
no.
thought you
It's
just-
storage of Amazon tchotchke and, you know, like electrician, a plumber,
Whatever the market
yeah,
shows.
yeah,
that
there's
someone needs to
nothing flammable or anything along those.
The narrative right here, it says, talks about the architectural appeal, aluminum trellises, frame entrances, green spaces interspersed throughout. I certainly didn't see the green spaces interspersed throughout. I think, and again, this is just conceptual. So
Right.
this is just an opinion. The fact that all the facades are in the same line, there's no undulation, there's no setback, there's no differentiation between one unit or the other, and maybe that's the goal.
Mhm.
Um,
I think
certainly I would think you would want a master sign program that should be submitted. Certainly this building on the south side, if that whole facade is glass, that's gonna heat up tremendously.
Mhm.
So I don't know if glass facades, like it looks like most of these elevations are 90% transparent. It is not wise.
Mhm.
I'm when I talk about the undulation, I think that goes in with the narrative talking about it could be a coffee place, it could be, a different user, but it's just a single width sidewalk. So I don't see any places for outdoor seating, some landscaping, dog parks,
Mhm.
all the things that I hope that you want to provide as far as a potential amenity.
Right.
To make it, to give it what you truly envision in that this is going to be a people place.
Right. There is the one pavilion, when you first come in,
And what is that?
it's a covered pavilion. Yeah, there's just like a hangout spot for.
Oh,
I think fundamentally it talks a lot about it's going to have this low country look and appeal and all that, and it doesn't look, to me, look low country at all architecturally. I mean, we don't see buildings like this in the low country.
Mhm.
So it doesn't meet the criteria.
Okay, well, the architectural firm that we're gonna hire I live in New Jersey, but we're building a home down here and they have a commercial side that is, from this area, so I think they'll capture that a little bit better.
Okay.
so are they going to have sort of freedom to look at the design of the
Yeah, I
facade,
mean-
or are they just doing your documents?
No, they have they'll have,
Some design
yeah,
input?
absolutely.
Well, the
I
two
mean,
big things then are the site plan needs to respond to existing trees and the buildings need to look low country, like
Right.
they've picked up on low country vernacular and low country architecture. That's the two big takeaways
okay.
from a conceptual meeting. So
Sure.
do you have any other questions or comments?
And a master sign program for your tenants.
Okay.
Jim, what's happening with the pump station?
So there's an existing pump station next door and it's basically at capacity. So they're providing a new spot for a wet well. And I think BK's planning on taking most of the equipment and pumps and bringing them over. We're going to set the wet well and then reroute the force main and bring sewer to it.
On this site, just reroute it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And y'all will tie into that pump station, right?
Sir,
This use will tie into that pump station?
it'll tie into the new one.
Yep. Okay. Any other comments?
Again, I think the narrative is very good. If you can tie some of the architecture and some of the site issues to the narrative, I think you have a winner here.
Right.
And I would also suggest that when you do come back for the preliminary, you bring sample boards of actual materials.
Okay. So, you're kind of pressed for space, it's a 3-acre parcel, right? So if we're talking about adding some of those open space ideas that you speak of, is it, if you're within setbacks, is that, that's okay?
Yes, I think if you undulate, and it could be as shallow as, 4 or 5 feet.
Mhm.
The structure.
Yeah.
The structure can't be in a setback.
No, I'm saying like,
Open
you know,
spaces like lawn or whatever can be, but
right.
the setback is a building setback. You can't have your.
Right,
building
I don't
within the
think,
setback.
I don't think we're talking about that.
No, no,
We're
no.
talking along
No,
the
I mean,
interior.
there are homes behind it, so we're trying to, we
Right.
would try and keep that pretty treed back there, you know, so.
Right, so I'm talking about the public sidewalk that is along this driveway.
Mhm.
That if you are providing relief, if you're keeping with the narrative and the design intent of what the vision is.
Mhm.
That, to me, it's very simple to, push the storefront back and forth to create some variety. And I'm not talking about 20 feet, 10 feet. It could be, as shallow as 4 feet.
Sure. That makes sense.
Justin, any other comments?
I guess the traffic movements of the site, particularly it could have garage doors front facing, makes me a little nervous. All of these units have sidewalks in front of them, which more than likely means that'd be a roll curb as opposed to 90-degree. Kind of takes away from the fact that it's sidewalk. The size of the buildings, depending on the use inside of it, may have to have rear doors because of fire code. So that may be something to look into. It looks like building 5 has sidewalks in the rear. I'm not quite sure why. I guess it's to get to the dumpster for everybody, but
Mhm.
just my thoughts, just things that I would think about if I was reviewing this.
I think the ordinance calls for landscaping between the drive aisles and the building.
Like foundation plantings.
I think it's minimum 5 feet, minimum. You can always do more. So, all right, any other
Okay.
questions for us?
No.
All right, no vote for conceptual.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you much.
Okay, excuse me. So our next project is going to be for 200 North Maple Street.
Good afternoon. My name is David Miller.
I'm just going to go over my staff report real
okay.
quick. It's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So these are minor additions to an existing mill facility. They are asking for final approval. This is the first meeting that they are attending. The proposed additions appear to be in line with the existing building and associated facilities.
This is a, if I may, this is a structure that's going to be part of the mill, an existing mill. Does anybody have any concerns with this?
I do not.
My only comment was that they didn't have a COA on the plan.
COA?
Yeah, on the site plan. Have no issues with this.
All right. Peter, any concerns?
Nope.
Would someone like to make a motion for final approval?
I'll make a motion for final approval.
All right, any further discussion?
No.
You're approved.
That was easy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I believe this is our final project on the agenda. For 1016 North Main Street, which is the Automax. To give you background on the project, planning staff members were made aware that the required perimeter landscaping between a front parking area and North Main Street at Automax had been removed. The applicant requested to replace the landscaping with a turf product that staff could not approve as it does not meet the landscaping requirements of the ordinance. The applicant is appealing this decision to the Design Review Board and requesting approval of the turf application in lieu of the required landscaping. And I included the landscaping requirements from 8.5.2 of the ordinance there.
So Becca, I have a question. Sorry if I cut you off. Can you go up one?
Mhm.
So you have the buffer planting in here. That's required. Obviously, they've already got the large trees in there,
Mhm.
right? So they would just be missing a continuous row or staggered row of evergreen shrubs,
Mhm.
no more than 6 feet on center. Right?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. You have anything else from staff?
No, there are aerial site photos, and then the applicant provided an overview on a site plan and then some existing pictures of these are previous conditions. I believe there was also mulch here that was removed.
Yeah, there was a small amount of
Okay,
mulch.
yeah. But this is what the site looks like right now, or the strip.
Floor is yours.
Afternoon, Rick Cronin, Tour Greens, Charleston. I live in Somerville. We were introduced to this project actually through me purchasing another vehicle through Automax. I bought 4 vehicles from there. And we actually have some mutual friends, the owner of Automax and I, down on Daniel Island, where I do a lot of my installs. And we've not crossed paths until I was in there trading in this last vehicle. And one of his, John Jr., noticed me and he said, "Hey man, you know, we're actually looking at freshening up the front of the dealership." And I said, "Well, you know, let's talk about it." So we did. I got with Mr. Dangerfield a couple days after that, and then you know, he had said that he had been looking at it. We actually discussed another project that's going to be hopefully going on with him. Doesn't have anything to do with the turf. And then, of course, you know, I bid the area and I introduced my products to him. And I think one of the things that I'd really like to talk about is the stigma of the artificial turf. And then the comparison to a lot of the turf that's on the market compared to my product, which is a very realistic. We've done this like downtown at the old Battery, built in 1805. We have the multicolors in my turf. And so in opening up, I just like to say that I've got a superior product, and that's really how we engage this conversation. And I think, you know, during the sale and the conversation about the upcoming project, I misunderstood that some things hadn't been approved and we hadn't gone through. So I think that's kind of where we missed a little bit of a step there. As far as tree removals and things of that nature, we removed one tree that was dead. It was six, I believe it was actually 5 inches in diameter, but at what is it, 8 to 6 inches in diameter. So we did remove that, and we did take out the shrubs that were in front of the ribbon curb on the back side that were 31 feet from the sidewalk of the parking lot. Sidewalk of, not the parking lot, but the street side. So those, you know, and I know we had some pictures prior to the to us going in and taking out. The owner's main concern with this curb front was, as you can see in this picture here, he's not, and that's really how I make my money a lot, you know, down on the islands and all around town, is you're either growing too much grass or you're not able to grow grass at all. And that was his main concern here, is that he's invested a lot of money. He's had 3 different types of sod, from what I understand, put in over the years. And he's been through several different types of shrubs, and he's not had any luck with these taking. And that's really his concern, the curb appeal, and then getting the eyes to look at that and, you know, see past the turf and then see his beautiful cars and come in and buy a car. But also we don't have an ugly landscape going on curbside.
And then that would lead into the product that I'm talking about, not just being a basic green. It's a product that I've had. That's part of my whole sales pitch, is that it's not, you know, your everyday thing. A lot of people don't even know about it. But I'm getting it from a manufacturer that's one of the oldest manufacturers in the country. It's an all American made product. It's permeable. It helps with water management. I mean, I don't know, we don't have a problem in Somerville or in South Carolina with water management, but it does, you know, save water from being spent as far as watering and irrigation are concerned.
So are you asking for turf from this edge of sidewalk all the way to the curb?
Yes, sir.
You still have to meet the,
No replacing of the shrubs.
Again, I believe the intention of the customer is to get view of his products. So as less as possible, I think, is the reasonable answer.
well, the ordinance still has to be met. And it's supposed to continuous hedge along there. It doesn't say what has to be on that ground plane, whether it's turf or ground cover or mulch, but hedge does have to be there. I think you've got the tree cover already just by looking at the photos and driving by there every day. I'm familiar with artificial turf. The concern I have is even in the spec section, it says you remove the first 4 inches of soil and put the artificial turf down. That's what the section said.
So yes, you're correct. It does say that, but in this case, with the situation that he already had there, ground surface, like what's removed right now, that's what's being removed. And I don't, that question being a question, I'm not sure if some of my final product pictures are in this file. But right. So this is X-Grass. They're a sister company of mine, and they're one of the companies that supplies me. We're all under the umbrella of a company called Recreational Group. They own 42 different, they can kind of go on monopoly, a little history nonsense. But so this is a model that they like to present, or whatever. It's good for situations like this. However, the permeability and the drainage and the runoff are what's important in the application, in the quality of the install as far as what goes on the edge. So what I'm referring to is, like, here we have a nailer board that goes down, and then you would lay the turf, and then you have a 3/4 inch layer, and then you would go to another nailer board after a stake, and then either staple or nail it down. My proposal for this would be a little bit off spec on this, because we would have that 4 inches of gravel required, but we wouldn't go any further. The reason that all these specs are for purposes like this, to sit down and show you. But the truth of the matter is it's such a young industry, and us being close to the coast in swamp marsh, the builds need to be modified so the quality is there for years to come. So what I'm getting at is I would have that 4-inch layer there, but when we meet the curb, as far as going down under, we'll still have that 4 inches of aggregate that's required for drainage and for settling. So the turf will look good surface wise for years to come and function like it's supposed to. But we may terminate it with 6-inch stakes every 3 inches, as opposed to putting a piece of pressure treated wood that's going to rot in 3 years. Those 6-inch stakes would actually rust, which is actually a good thing, because they expand and act as an anchor into the ground, as opposed to a rotting piece of wood with a smaller staple. So our build would be somewhat, our install method as far as terminating to the sidewalk or the curb may be a little bit different. But as far as the spec for the drainage and the aggregate that you see in this picture, and then the infill on top of the turf, the enzymes and the silica, that's correct.
Concern is if you're excavating or putting 4 inches of gravel or whatever that is on top of all those existing tree roots. So in time, that could easily kill all the trees.
Yes. So I've worked with a lot of arborists, not here in town. I did just meet the gentleman last week who's the town arborist. Arborists out in Kiowa and down on Daniel Island. And of course, you know, our oak trees and very important. So I've had to, this isn't the first time I've had the question of trees. And like I said, different areas across the country are, you know, you go out Arizona, you know, what the heck is a live oak, but over here it's a holy grail. And it's a concern and for everybody. So I've had to figure that out. And so what I've been told is that I need to leave the circumference of the trunk of the tree times 2 to away. So each tree will have a bed around it, which will allow the water to come in and the root system to thrive. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but that's damaging all the roots.
That also wouldn't meet our protection requirements for the tree. So if anything, if the design review board did approve it, I just want the applicant to be aware that our arborist would have to be involved in the placement.
And I guess as
It,
far as the ground cover, I mean, I don't really care.
No.
You still have to meet the screening requirements.
Well, and that's the question that I was gonna ask staff. The question in front of us, if I read the staff report correctly, was ground cover in lieu of, correct? I think having written ordinances like this, the purpose of it was to screen a parking lot, whether it was parked cars for sale or not. I don't see any reason why we would allow a ground cover to act in lieu of evergreen shrubs.
Yeah, you still have to do the hedge regardless. I mean, that's.
Yes. And I'm sure we can talk about that and figure out as far as because I mean, you mentioned stipulations of the hedge. We most certainly meet you halfway there or meet you fully there, I'm sure. But as far as the ground cut, I've only met what I've been told by the other arborists, not in Somerville again, but I mean, in other parts of town. And they've been stringent and I haven't had any problems with killing trees and smothering root systems by following those guidelines that they've given me. My goal is to sell more turf and be around and, you know, have a business that I'm able to provide and sell later on down the road. So if I go out to Kiowa and I kill a live oak because I smothered and I didn't educate myself on what I was supposed to do, I'm not gonna stay in business very long. So I've been doing like we're doing right now, trying to educate myself and get it right. But by all this, nobody knows. Turf, a lot of people think turf is shag carpet from, you know, 1970. The technology's come a long way. It's a gray area.
What we do know is compacting soil around trees kills the tree. We do know that.
But we'd be staying off the trunk system and we'd be staying off.
But you're only staying off at 16 inches. The roots of the tree extend at least to the drip line. And on this, I thought I saw in a picture that the roots were coming all the way to the sidewalk. I'm not opposed to artificial turf. I'm really not. It's just, we have to have, and the town does too, have assurances. Yeah, you can see it right there that the roots the trees aren't gonna get killed, because if they do, then we're probably gonna have, 2 years from now, we're gonna rip out artificial turf and have to put the trees back in, because you don't really usually kill a tree overnight. It usually takes 2, 3, 4 years to kill the tree. That could be why you haven't seen it yet. I don't know. Again, I'm not opposed to artificial turf. I think the most meeting in the middle would be do artificial turf along the sidewalk, do ground cover or mulch from the turf to the hedge, and mulch that. I get it. You can't grow natural grass in the shade. Just those two things don't work together. So, I just have concerns that, and it sounds like the town arborist does as well, that it's going to kill the trees.
Do we have, I believe there might be some pictures of the state currently of the property. Because I did cut out, you can see the root systems of the trees are kind of elevated. Is that the only one we got? I'm just trying to get to the bigger trees. Yeah, they come off. I would be the width of this tree in the center. Yeah. So that one, I'd be the width times 2. So that's roughly, just looking at that thing, I would think that that's like 20, 24 inches, something like that. So I'd be about 48 inches off of that tree. And
The trees are gone 20 feet.
and I'm just going off of what I've been told, and you know, the time that I've been doing it, I haven't killed a tree as far as I know, and we've had this stuff on the ground for years. So I get what you mean, the pressure and the smothering of the roots. If they were surface roots standing on top, and I was putting that direct pressure right on the surface roots, but the compaction of the dirt off of the trunk, that 4 inches, you know, of aggregate around, I've been told by the arborist that I'm not putting the root system in danger.
Justin, do you have something?
I was just gonna suggest that, you know, whatever the town arborist requires with regards to what that dimension be, I don't wanna, I mean, I'm sure you know what you're talking about, but I'm not gonna, I don't feel comfortable going against town arborist with regards to what they need, drip line, root systems, things like that. I'd say we make a conditional approval recommendation to allow the ground cover, but not in lieu of the hedge. And the ground cover can be at the discretion of the town arborist.
We can get Justin out on site, or get him in a meeting and figure out what would be appropriate.
Yes, yeah, he'll go out and meet you at the site and discuss what we could allow at a staff level. I can't really speak for him. You know, as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you heard that our ordinance is written as encroachment, if avoidable, disturbance in the critical root zone should be avoided. So it may not, if you guys can come to an agreement with the arborist, you know, we'll let that play out. But I just want you to understand that it may be possible that he doesn't feel comfortable with it. And you may have to provide your own arborist assessment. It may have to go to the tree protection board.
Well, in also something that just hit me, but well, I didn't know what this whole meeting was going to entail, to tell you the truth. But I just did an install down on Isle of Palms, and I've done many of them with this other product. There's an alternative. I'd like to talk to Justin and try to figure out with this, because there's an alternative base product. But I'd like for my customer to still like me, meaning that alternative base product comes at an expense. So if you all are saying that, you know, meet with Justin and see if we can figure out what's best for the trees like this, then I thank you. I appreciate that. But I would also like to say, you know, if we have to go back to the drawing board, or back to the board, there's another product that I have as a base material. It's an interlocking tile that would go underneath of it.
What's in front of us today is they have to put they replace the shrubs, the hedge. That's what our purview is, really, that. They have to replace the shrubs, get with staff to see if you have to replace the tree that was removed. I don't doubt that it was dead, but it may have been required. So get with staff on that. I don't think any of us are saying no to artificial turf. It's just our concern is about the compaction of the roots, but you can work that out with staff. Okay?
Any questions? I'm here. I'm ready for all kinds of information. I'm getting ready for you guys. I live in Somerville. I own some property in Somerville, so I, you know, I don't do much business, and we do a little bit of business. It's getting more as the influx continues of residents, but
Becca, are they asking for, what level are they asking for?
It would be final.
Final, so, all right. So is there, I guess we need to make a motion then.
Make a motion to deny in lieu of. Because that's what the request is.
That was the request, okay. Is there a second? Peter seconded
I
it.
second.
Okay, then any further discussion? Okay, call for the vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Right. Thank you.
all right, so where do I go from here? I'm sorry.
So we'll have to set up a meeting with Justin to go over what parameters you can work within in relation to the trees. And then you'll need to provide a landscaping plan showing where you're going to put the hedge back.
Okay, and then we'll reconvene here.
No, it'll be
All
handled
right,
like
so
that.
we can move on through you all.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right, fair enough. Thank you.
I don't have anything miscellaneous tonight, so unless y'all have anything for me, we can get a motion to adjourn.
Is there a motion?
First.
Second is Peter. All in
Second.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Alrighty, thank you.